is to connect Web3 communities through mentorship. Just to give you a brief introduction, my name is Nicole. I am one of the community executives from Future Lab. Joining me today is Amira, my coworker from Future Lab as well. She'll wave and say hi. And of course, we have our guest speaker, Raphael, which I'll share briefly about his background later on. So I'm sure some of you might know about the program, but I just thought we will just go quickly through what Future Lab is. We are a social enterprise championing mentorship in Southeast Asia. What we do is we digitalize mentorship programs for companies and communities out there so that they have access to mentorship that is done virtually and connecting with mentors and mentees. We are recognized by some of the top top 50 tech startups in Southeast Asia and best brand for mentorship. For this particular program, we just wanted to do a quick announcement that we are in partnership with Open Campus, who is one of our biggest partners for this particular program. Okay, so a little bit of background of this program. This program is called the Web3 Career Mentorship Program. It is a self-paced program with the whole goal to connect and build a Web3 community through a series of webinars like tonight, and through one-on-one mentorship sessions. So the idea is to get like-minded individuals like yourselves who are interested to explore within the Web3 industry to learn a little bit more of what Web3 consists of and to connect each other to make a community. So how does this program generally work is we will have monthly webinars covering different industry topics. For example, we had our first webinar of the program last month that covers a very basic introduction about Web3. Similar tonight, it will be a beginner to intermediate level on Web3 as well. And then moving forward every month, we will have webinars covering various industries such as, AI, fintech, so on and so forth. Not going to give you guys too much, so wait till the end. I'll let you know a little bit more of the exciting things we have planned. Besides webinars, we also have one-on-one mentorship sessions where you will have the chance to have a one-on-one mentorship with a mentor that's in the program. So if you're interested to, let's say, chat with a mentor that has, similar background or experiences within this industry, feel free to join as a mentee in this program. And, you can schedule one-on-one mentorship sessions. And besides that, we are also planning some community circles or more intimate event sharing sessions with, all these community members within this program, just to connect with each other and, just chat. Okay. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker for tonight. Raphael is a blog guide. Also, from some of the posters before that, you might also know that he is a business development at a company called Accreditify. Tonight, it's our honor to have him come in and talk about a little bit about what is Web3 and why does it matters. Okay, the floor is all yours, Raphael.
Thank you, Nicole. Thanks for the introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Raphael. I'm really happy to have you all here. We'd love to talk about Web3 tonight for the next hour. Also, spend enough time for Q&A in the end, and show you some applications that you can use in order to experience Web3. I'm gonna have a quick introduction first about myself, and then I give it a go and show you the slides I've prepared and talk a little bit about that. I'll put you up here and I can see you. Nice. Give me a quick thumbs up if you can see the slide well and that I'm sharing. Nice. All right. So my name is Raphael. I'm from Switzerland. I am trained as a scientist. I did biochemistry in my bachelor's, then I did some immunology in my master's. I sold vaccines in Switzerland, and at that point in time, I experienced blockchain technologies. I did an on-chain transaction about my first NFT. It was this one you see here. It's almost worthless by now, but it was a super exciting feeling because it was something that I could truly own. And ever since, I was just super hooked to learn more about it. up to the point that I decided to leave my pharmaceutical job in Switzerland. Came all over to Singapore. I'm now based in Singapore. Went for a business education, and then now started to work for a Web3 company. On the side, I do Block Guide. Block Guide's goal is to educate and help people to understand the next version of the internet and the web. This is called Web3 right now. Maybe in a couple of years it will be named differently. It's more about the concepts, and I really want to talk about today what it is and why it matters to almost every one of us, and why it's truly important to me. So with this, I would just give it a go. I start with you guys. Hold on, a quick shout out to Open Campus and Future Lab, obviously. I mean, without them, I would not be here and have the chance to chat with you guys and have the Q&A afterwards. And so I'm really thankful for doing this, giving that platform. It really helps. And also check out the memberships and the mentoring. Yeah, I think the mentoring was. So let's give it a go. Agenda, 3 things today. Intro into Web3. I will talk a little bit about the evolution of the web. Second thing will be about a concept called digital ownership and why this can bring like equal power to all. And the last thing will be Web3 applications. We will set up an account. For this, we will use a Web3 wallet. We can just do it side by side. And obviously, we leave some time for Q&A in the end. Before we jump in, can you use the chat and just write in the chat some words that you associate with Web3? Not what it is, just when you think Web3, what are just words that come to your mind when you hear that? So we have some blockchain, some crypto, some Rust. Rust is a programming language. We have some smart contracts, NFTs, blockchain, decentralized, move. Let's go for the move afterwards, decentralized. Pretty cool stuff. So what are let's see, who has a crypto wallet yet? Who has a Web3 wallet? Can just give a quick emoji or a thumbs up, or yeah, if you have one. So we have one, we have their Mimi, Smiley. Oh yeah, Zaya has one, Naman has one. Cool. Who invests in crypto? Meaning who buys like Bitcoin ETF, who has bought an NFT, built an NFT while I was at uni. What a savage. Anyone else invest in crypto? Nice, cool. Last question, not that I bore you. Who was there in the last session? Just if someone was in the last session, just give a heart emoji. Let's check if someone was there. Okay, just a fire. For all the ones that haven't been in the last session, recording is available. It's an amazing speaker, the host from last session. So just check it out. And I think with this, like enough questions, I think we can give it a go. So let's start with the evolution of Web3. Where did it start? Where does it come from? And what it is. So before we talk about the web and Web3, let's just differentiate between the internet versus the web. So when we talk about the internet, we mean what you can see on the left-hand side. It's more about a global network of computer networks. It's about hardware, so the connection between these computers and servers. So it's not about what you see in the online world, because this is what you have on the right-hand side. This is the web. This is what we know as we're surfing the web. It's software. It's about websites. It's about email. So this can be like separated, these two things. That's why it's called Web3 and not Internet 3. And so in that sense, like an analogy can be seen as like the internet. It can be viewed as many bookstores if it would be physical, while the web can be viewed as books in those bookstores, similar to the websites where you have lots of web pages, similar to a page in a book. Just this as a starter so that you won't confuse it. And now that you know, every time someone confuses these terms, you you can make them aware of and be a little bit pain in the ass. So evolution of the web. Nowadays, we define it in 3 stages, but it could be that in some years, as said before, it will be defined differently. But the main concept or the main idea is that we have 3 different stages of the web. First one is termed Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. And we now go through these 3 stages. What is the characterization of each stage? And what were a little bit the downsides and also the benefits of each stage. And then we come up to where we are with Web 3 nowadays. So Web 1. Web 1 is the stage where we had a read-only web experience. So when you went and browsed the web, you went on a website, they were mainly static files. So these websites, they didn't change much. You can read what the content was about. And so this was from the 1990s to maybe 2000s. So the numbers there always like depend on who just talks about it. So don't take it too strictly. Back then, thumbs down is you could not comment. You could not interact. You couldn't do anything other than just reading. So we were just a consumer. However, on the other side, the web was very decentralized, adhering to certain standards, for instance, like website standards or email standards, which really allowed data to flow and interoperability. And no one had power alone over their web. It was really decentralized in terms of power because lots of individual groups were contributing and had power back then. So you see the problems: limited interactivity, but hard to create content. On the very bottom, you see just some big companies that you know nowadays when they started with their first website. Imagine that all these websites, they were just read only. You couldn't do much with it. So what happened afterwards? So afterwards, in the 2000s and a little bit later, Web 2 evolved. Some call it the read and write web. Others call it the social web, where in the backend, there were dynamic databases. What does it mean? So whenever you browsed the web, this is exactly like where we grew up, you could suddenly comment on certain things. On, let's say, social media, you can thumbs up, you can poke someone. So it got more interactive, and that's just, it's just cooler. In addition, it was also easier to create a website because nowadays you can use Wix or any other tool and easily create a website. So there was a lot more participation possible in the dynamic and interactive web. That was actually pretty good. However, there was one downside. All that convenience, all that access and connectivity led to a centralization, because only very few companies control, let's say, they can call it a publishing infrastructure, meaning that you have a social media profile with X, you have a profile with Instagram, you have a number on WhatsApp. All these networks of friends, you cannot move from one social media network to another network, meaning the platforms you're on have full control and power. So this is what you see with the problems. Data privacy is a problem, not because they do shady things with your data, but when all your data is in one big database with, let's say, Facebook, for instance, imagine which database will be hacked. It will be this one, not your Google Drive. Second one, all these platforms, they really rely on creator contribution because the platforms alone is just an empty, I don't know how to call it, empty space. You need creators to create content and us to consume. So the creators really didn't get the revenue they deserved, especially the longer they are on the platform, they get scrutinized, and it's really not fair. That's why you see nowadays more and more creators get revenues because these web giants, they realize they cannot continue doing this. Algorithm transparency. Most of the time, the algorithms for these websites, they're not transparently published. So we don't know what is incentivized, which behavior will be favored. That's a problem because the most thing that we are nowadays is the facts or the things that we see. Then we have our values as a function that analyze these facts, and then we have opinions and a stance. What if the facts are just a function of your actions of an algorithm that you don't know? So it's not so good. So we need algorithm transparency. And even better, if you could choose your own algorithms, let's say in a shopping cart, you can just add the algorithm you want from a company you trust. You plug it in the social media network, and everyone can use their own algorithms for their web experience, but they're all on the same platform. This is where we're going. Last thing is centralization risk. So you see lots of problems there. I move on. Web3, this is now the newest concept that I think, and many others, will solve certain problems. Not all of them, but certain problems. We start with the positives. So people can still read, they can still comment in Web3, they can still create websites. However, the applications they use are not private, from private big tech companies only. So there will be applications you're going to use that are from private companies, because private companies, they create amazing products. However, we don't just want to use private company applications only. We want to have alternatives that are non-profit. We want to have alternatives that are from the government. We want to have alternatives that are from a community, from FutureLab, whatever. So we don't want that the whole internet is owned by private companies. Because what happens if that's the case? It happens that we don't have enough innovation, we don't have enough competition, and we're completely at their will. The next thing, what we can do in Web3, we can own digital assets. And that's pretty cool because all the assets before that we owned in digital space, we didn't really own it. More to that later on. So Web3 uses decentralized infrastructure. So some people wrote here in the chat, if I just scroll up, some said blockchain, others said crypto, smart contracts, NFTs. So all these things are used for certain Web3 experiences and applications. So we use these technologies in order to give someone digital ownership or to give someone digital properties via tokens. That's all you need to know for tonight, that Web3 is based on blockchain technologies with tokens that you can access with wallets, and it allows you to own digital property. Because as soon as you own something, you have power and control. If you don't own something, if you rent it from someone else, it's their power and control. Some things you should rent and you shouldn't own and control, but other things you want to own and control. So yeah, that's really the most important thing. I will come to that in some different fashions and show it to you in some different slides. But then the problems of Web3 are definitely that it's very complex to talk about. It's very complex to understand. But by the way, Web 1 and Web 2 was also complex. The only reason why it was easy because private companies made it easy. But I bet with most of you, we don't know really how the internet still works, what websites are. We actually have no clue about all these things. And now we combine it with money, like because this is mainly like crypto and NFTs and Web3. And we also don't understand money. We just use it because it was there once we were born. So when we try to understand it now in a Web3 context, we're just completely overwhelmed. So it takes time. That's okay. Second thing is regulatory uncertainty. So the internet was also under regulation from the governments. Social media companies were under the regulation of governments. And so will be Web3 under the regulation of governments. Regulation is good. The problem is when there is no regulation spoken, because then people don't know what can they do and what can't they do. And these things just take time because people need to come together in the government and make new laws and new rules. So it just delays the whole adoption a bit. And then the last thing, infrastructure development, building big things just takes a lot of time. So this would be the first part. This would be the whole story introduction to Web3. It is where did we come from with websites only and email? Then where did we go with social media platforms and Web 2, where we have siloed data? And now with Web3, where you can own and possess your assets and your data online. Yeah, first part. So second part, digital ownership. Digital ownership is really one of the most important things of our generation, in my opinion. It is so, so important. And I heard it over the last 4 years, and I think I didn't understand it for 4 years. But now, being every day in Web3, reading about it, trying the applications and everything, I think now I truly got it. But most of my experience was just because I just read alone. I didn't have many people to talk to. So if you talk to people and exchange, you'll get it definitely much faster than I. It won't take 4 years for you guys until you get it. So let me try to bring you the concept of digital ownership a little bit closer. But before we do that, I quickly need you in the chat again. Please tell me, what do you own? Just make one example. We have, I don't know, like 10, 20 people in the chat. Just write a thing that you own, a physical thing that you own. Then we have a wallet, we have a phone, computer, laptop. You see some electronic goods. So this is things that you own, some physical things. Now, everything that is physical that you own can be taken away from you. Everyone would agree. There's something different in digital ownership. Something that you digitally own is truly yours, because the way you possess it is by remembering a password in your brain. And as long as you don't give that password to someone, it is truly yours. Obviously, someone can do like very terrible things to you and you give it voluntarily because they whatever do with you, or they force you to do. However, you can truly own something. So it's the strongest ownership that is possible as of now. That's just a start. So now we have a really, really beautiful slide here. And the reason why it is so beautiful is because it never talks actually about Web3 and stuff. It talks all about the things that you actually know. I want to share with you that when we talk about Web3, it's just another wave of digital transformation. And you heard digital transformation so many times. And you know that digital transformation was the best idea over the last 30 years. That is for the reason, because if you look at the very left side, when we look at the first wave of digital transformation, by the way, on X is time and Y axis is value. If we look at the first wave, we had a digital transformation of books, CDs, and entertainment, for instance. Companies that came up out of that time, you know them, books like Amazon, Apple for CDs, we have Netflix for entertainment. So you would agree that the biggest companies nowadays in the market, in the world, they're tech companies that digitally transformed physical goods. This is what they do. And the value they brought is in the wave there. The value is now you can share digital information. We can share it very fast. It's a huge amount of value that was created over the last 30 years. So now the question will be, should we still focus only on that, or is there something else coming now? With new technologies, I'm very, very convinced that next waves will come. And how do these waves look like? I think these waves look like wave 2 and wave 3. Wave 2 will be the digital transformation of identities and passports. It will be a digital transformation of degrees and licenses. What we'll be able is that whenever you have such licenses and degrees, you now can trust these documents. So you can trust a digital identity because you know someone published that information. So we went from share information that you cannot really trust to we can trust digital information. And now the third wave is that you can own digital information. And this is what you can then call digital property. And this will be the third wave. And there we will digitally transform capital and money. And if books were so valuable, if you do a digital transformation with it, imagine what happens if you transform money itself, capital. So it's just going to be really, really huge. So the reason why that is important now is because we have blockchain technologies. Before blockchain technologies, these wave 2 and wave 3 would not have been possible. You see on the very bottom, you see that triangle. This just shows the degree of centralization, which increases the control over your digital data. So the more control you have, then we can own digital property. The essence from that slide is exactly this, that there are 3 waves in digital transformation. One was digital information. This next one is identity, where governments are hardcore playing in that space. In the first wave were private companies. And so you guess who's going to be in the third wave? It's going to be citizens. We have citizens, we have governments, and we have private companies all on the same table. And this is going to be super, super exciting. On the right-hand side, before I close that slide, on the right-hand side, you see the technologies used within these individual waves on a very high level. So for the first wave, we needed obviously digitization, we needed the internet, websites, and email. Without these things and many other things, there would not have been the possibility to create such wealth that was created. These technologies create wealth, and you can share digital information when you have a network of trusted parties. So you can see that little triangle. You can see if my pointer here works. If you can see the pointer, you see the I that stands for the issuer, the user, and the verifier. If you have a social media company that gives you a platform, for instance, you have WhatsApp, you create some data, you send a message to your mom. Your mom sees it, sends it to someone else, to your dad, just forwards it. Your family trusts each other that you don't change or edit anything. So you can do that easily. However, let's go to the second wave. Let's go through a scenario where you cannot trust everyone on the platform. Think of an issuer, let's say a university. We have an issuer. Then you go to a course. You're the user. You get a certificate. This is digital information. And now you, as a user, as a student, go and apply to a job. And the job only takes you when you have the best grade. So what you would do with a PDF with digital information, you just change your score and you show it to a verifier. You show it to your employer. Your employer cannot trust you. However, the employer trusts the university. So here you have the green lines. And now the employer always needs to go back to the university and calls and say like, hey, can we trust that data? So this problem here can be solved by using the first wave technologies. We need data standards instead of PDFs. We need hash functions, which were described in the last session. We need cryptographic keys and decentralized identities. All these things down here are technologies used in blockchain. So you see, the reason why we do a digital transformation from wave 1 to wave 2 is because we use certain blockchain technologies. However, if you want to go full on into an environment where no one trusts each other, you need a very solid infrastructure and very solid means of exchange. And in order to do that, you need timestamping. That is a function, or this is a feature. Whenever you write something onto the blockchain, it gets a little timestamp, similar to like a birth date. Whenever it's written down, it gets a birth date, and you know this data was initially put on the blockchain at that date. You need digital wallets because you want to own tokens, and you need these blockchain networks. So this is the essence of this slide. It's a very heavy slide, but the only thing you need to take away is that there are 3 waves: digital information, there is digital identity, and digital property. And this will be the path of digital transformation in the world. And it will only be possible via blockchain technologies. Maybe something new comes in 5 or 10 years that will be even better, But as of now, it's the best thing that we have. So why is digital ownership so important? The reason why digital ownership is so important is because nowadays more of our life happens online. Meaning when we're online, we are in an ecosystem and environment that does not belong to us. It is mainly like designed by private companies. When we are only with private companies, there is no balance between the private companies, as said, and the government and the citizen. So this can be changed. So look on the left-hand side. So when we have these three players online, we have the government, or let's say we have these three players at all in our existence in the world. We have the government on the left side, which is mainly in power offline. They have your passport, they collect your taxes, they have control over the police and have can enforce laws. So the government has power, and this is good. This is good that the government has power. Second, they're big tech companies. They mainly control the online space. It's literally that. So there is not much public infrastructure online. The only or the very few things that are public are websites and email. But everything else, all the platforms, it's all private. So you see, the power is down here. It's between the government and big tech. We are the citizens up here. The reason why we are up here and smaller is because there's no digital ownership. However, with digital ownership, you see the citizen is bigger, the power is balanced, it is in the middle. So it's not that Web3 is anarchy and will control everything. It is just, it will balance the power imbalance that we have right now, because the government had all the power in real life, big tech has it online. Now it's the first time citizens can have more power. And it's super important that it comes at the same time with AI. Because the more AI you have, the less relevant are citizens for work. And so maybe it's not too common here in Singapore, but I'm close to in Europe, I'm close to France. So what do the French people do when they don't like something? They go on strike. So they don't work. And it is super powerful because the government loses GDP. But now what do you do if AI replaces your work? Then people should go on strike. We don't care that much. Meaning that if citizens have less power, it is important during AI times that they have digital ownership. Let me quickly check. There was still waiting for bartering system with crypto. Let me see how we can answer that later on. So last slide to digital ownership. It's more about now the technologies. I would say most Web3 and crypto presentations just start and talk about the technologies. I think it's important because it's the things that that drive adoption. But at one point in 5-10 years, we don't talk about the technologies anymore. So even if you don't understand it or if you don't care, it doesn't matter. Because at one point it will be so convenient, you don't need to understand. You don't need to care. But it's important that you understand the bigger concept. Digital ownership gives you freedom and more power. So let's look at Web3, blockchains, tokens, and wallets. Let's look at blockchain networks first. I'll give a very quick example of or an analogy of a blockchain before I go through these points. I heard in the last session that I gave, it was very, very well appreciated. So I'll quickly do that. So blockchains, if you know Harry Potter, it's like having a magical book. And if you write down something in that magical book, everyone has another magical book. Like Hermione has one, Malfoy has one, Ron has one. And then someone writes something down and it will be replicated in each other book as well. So everyone sees what's the actual truth. And so when Malfoy now says, oh, I don't like it, what stands there, like Gryffindor has too many points, then he just erases his entry in his book. However, in all the other books, it will be still written in. So, and then it's just a matter of how often something is written in the books, and this will then be defined as the truth. Yeah, this is how I would describe blockchains. I'll speed up a little bit so that we get through our session. So blockchain networks, they are, it's actually a database that records ownership and transactions, and you use tokens for it. So we have blockchain networks like Rails, and we have tokens that run on it. So these tokens can be mainly two things right now. It's either cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, or other tokens, or it can be NFTs that could represent digital art or something more unique and not something interchangeable. Blockchains are, there are very many copies of one blockchain available. So Bitcoin is one blockchain, and there are thousands of copies available and distributed globally. So when some copies get lost because a computer burns up, there's still enough around. And in essence, blockchains are very easy to access for everyone, but very hard to change transactions that happened in hindsight. That's literally the purpose of a blockchain. Very easy to access for everyone. So not like Web2 companies or Instagram where you cannot access the data. Everyone can access and read, but very hard to change what happened in the past. I'll skip Web3 wallets because we're gonna have a hands-on afterwards anyways about that. But in essence, Web3 wallets just store and create private keys. And these private keys will be saved and accessed via a password. And it's nothing else than an application on your phone, a mobile app. It's a Chrome extension on your browser or either a hardware device. There's some use cases in Web3. And the use cases are as follow. They're not too many as of now, but they're very powerful. First use case is it's just another asset class. So when gold was coming in like 200 years ago, there was silver, there was copper. People also thought like, what the hell? Why do we need another metal? But gold survived because it was very, very scarce, rare, and looked super beautiful. So people liked it. So now we have just another asset class because like the big banks and asset manager, they use Bitcoin or Ethereum. They store it themselves. They create a paper that is called the Bitcoin ETF. They put that paper in a digital form. They put it on a marketplace and you can buy. So this is when you buy Bitcoin ETF, for instance. So it's just another asset class. People like to invest in it and do stuff. We have payments. We have stable coins. So the difference from a cryptocurrency, let's say Bitcoin or Ethereum, to a stable coin is that stable coins, they don't change in value unless they crash, obviously. But when they crash, they don't do what they're supposed to do. But it happens once in a while. So it's also risky to invest in them. But they don't change the value, meaning it's like a US dollar that is always stable in the short term. And so the stablecoin transactions nowadays, they have almost the same volume and value than Visa transactions. However, you shouldn't just compare like apples to apples there because it's never apples to apples. Better if you compare Visa to MasterCard, but if you compare stablecoins to Visa, but just be aware that there are huge transaction volumes already exchanged by stablecoins worldwide because blockchains is a worldwide database and it's cheaper and faster to transact on a worldwide database other than when you have national databases that first need to be connected to another country. Then we have on the top left, on the bottom left, we have store of values. I think this is the most important thing on this slide and the most relevant thing when you think about Bitcoin. There is nothing that scarce and that desirable right now in the world than Bitcoin, because there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins available, and people can access it from everywhere in the world with a phone and with the internet. So what do some people do? They say, hey, my dollar loses in value over 30 to 50 years. It loses because of inflation and other reasons, maybe 30%. So instead of losing over 30 years, 30%, I just put a small amount of my value, of my capital in Bitcoin, this might appreciate stronger because there's a limited amount of it. Dollar is not limited because the government can produce new one. Bitcoin, you cannot produce more, and that's why it's super scarce. Next one, governments are experimenting with CBDCs. You'll see that more and more over the next 5 years. Governments will also introduce digital wallets from the government. They will put digital identities in there. Instead of your physical passport, you have digital passports. And they will also give you digital money. And they can function also as vouchers because they can program it and say, you can only use it for food. You can only use it for education, but you cannot use it for alcohol, gambling, whatsoever. This will happen. And then last thing is just digital art. Digital art is relevant because artists never had a chance to create something without being scrutinized by big platforms. Now it's the first time they can create digital art. They can make it rare because it's on the blockchain. You can limit the number of pieces. It cannot be replicated. They can sell it versus digital currencies. And whenever it will be sold, maybe 5% of the selling value gets back to the artist. And so they can earn royalties while still being alive. Most other artists, they're all dead. And only then they got famous and rich. So we get more artistic expression. We get more culture. We get more, and culture is also like politics. It's also criticism. And it's just nice for the world to have more culture. So I completely support that. I think it's the last slide, and then a short one about criticism, and then we jump into the hands-on. But just a quick check on with Nicole. Are we still on track for 15 more minutes?
Yep, we're looking good at time.
Nice. All right. So Web3 adoption, a quick one. Where do we stand? Where do we go? Look at the left side. Before I do predictions, predictions are almost always wrong. So the yellow bars there were the predictions at the time. Let's say in 2010, the prediction in 2030 was to have almost zero photovoltaic, like solar power. You see, later on in 2015, it was also horizontal. In 2020, also horizontal. So these are all the predictions they think what will be the installed capacity in 2030. And even though the capacity went up in an S-curve shape, they still do horizontal predictions. And this is the reason why many people don't understand change and technology, is because change is not linear. It is S-curved. And here on the left side, you see the beginning of an S-curve. You never know when it's really going to hit, but once it hits, lots of people will get exposure to it. It happened for the internet. It happened for your washing machine. It happens every time, but people just still don't get it because we're linear. We're not exponential. So take it with a grain of salt, what I say now, since we know predictions are worthless, especially I'm not smarter than these guys and girls. But on the right side, you see the world's capital. It's $867 trillion. And then you see Bitcoin market cap is $1.2 trillion. Bitcoin is the true digital property nowadays. There will be further ones, but nowadays it's really just Bitcoin. And this represents 0.1% of world's capital. So you can do with that whatever you want. But for me, that looks like very early, very, very early. And most of the world's capital, like everything else that we use, was analog and goes digital. It's just how things work. And if Bitcoin is digital capital and the other technologies are based on Bitcoin, there's a huge, huge upside. So last things, criticism. These were the 4 reasons why I didn't invest in Bitcoin for a long time, where I didn't like Web3, because I heard there are illegal transactions. I heard it uses too much energy. I heard it's speculation and hype, or it's not scalable. If you look at all these 4 criticisms, it's also the case for the existing system. We have illegal transactions with government money, with cash. We have energy consumption for almost everything what we do. It's just a matter of what do we get from it. And Bitcoin, in my opinion, and Web3 is very economical. So in comparison to governments that need to maintain a currency with police, with banks, with all what comes to it, it's very, very cheap to maintain a Bitcoin network. Speculation and hype, yeah, is always the case. It needs hype cycles, cheap money coming in, people can build with it. And scalability just needs time. So for me, all of these four were really not big of enough criticisms that I would say, no, this is not good. It's actually, in my opinion, not perfect, but better than the status quo. I think now we have 2 more slides, hands-on, Q&A. Yeah, nice. So what we can do now is 2 things. We're also going to speed it up a bit because it's super easy. What you can do now, or what we can do now, is set up an account using a Web3 wallet. The reason why we do that is in these wallets, you store keys that allow you to make transactions on blockchains. And if you want to own something, you want to have control over it. So look at it as a controller. You can control your assets, your tokens, your keys, your tokens, your NFTs on the blockchain. And the wallet stores those keys. And these are called private keys. Let's see on the left side. If you want to do that, if the people that have Grab on their phone, just open your phone and just imitate what we're doing here. It is a Web3 wallet on Grab. You can open it and you see how the flow looks like to open a Web3 wallet. Once we did that, just takes, I think, a minute or something. We do exactly the same with a non-commercial wallet. So this one here is a private wallet from Grab. And then afterwards, we do it with MetaMask, a wallet on Ethereum. So let's quickly see what we can do here. So open your phone, open Grab, open Finance, and then you see there's a Web3 wallet there. Once you click it, it tells you, hey, this is a Web3 wallet, and you can use it for XYZ. Just gives a little introduction. Then now, they say, when you get started, there are 2 things you do. You create a PIN and you set up a recovery method. What you will do is you go to the upper part and create just a PIN. Write it down on paper. The second thing, there is a recovery method underneath. And the recovery method is something to recover your PIN and password if you forgot it. The reason why it's a recovery method, like normally a recovery method is just on Google, or on any other account, you have that hyperlink underneath, which stands, I forgot my password or reset my password. You can only do that when someone has ownership of your account. However, this time when we create the Web3 wallet, you own the account. So there's no one else that knows your password. There is no one else that can prove you belong to this. So what you do is you have a PIN to access this application, and you have a recovery method. This is just a much longer PIN. It's a phrase called seed phrase, which allows you to recover your wallet. These are the 2 things you need. When you go through that, you write down the recovery method and your PIN on a piece of paper, and then you're already in your wallet. In your wallet, then you can do funny things. Now, the Grab wallet is very limited. You can, I think, only do 2 things. So it's mainly used for people just to get first experience how the onboarding flow looks like when you own a wallet and when you need to set a recovery phrase. This is it on the left side with Grab. On the right side, we would now open a MetaMask wallet. I can just lead you through that. But before I do that, I think I need to stop share. I go in here, screen 1, and you should see browser. Please give me a quick thumbs up if you see Web3 cheat sheets. Nice. So now we're gonna set up a wallet. It's called MetaMask. And we're going to set it up as a browser extension wallet. Before, it was a mobile app. This time, it is a browser extension. It's just other shapes and forms. So what we do, metamask.io. So we go on metamask.io. I know the website URL, so I just type it in. If you're unsure, you can just go on Twitter, on X, you search the account, you see which one has the most followers. So you know it is the verified with the followers and the good history. So you can check, okay, this is legitimate. And then you go on the web link there, and then you end up here. What you then do is, and you do that obviously just that you don't get scammed by phishing when someone writes here metamask and then .io and then puts a malicious link here. You download it and all your money is gone. But it's the same for any other application that you download, even from the App Store. There's lots of fake stuff on there. So then you get to MetaMask, you add to your Chrome. Yeah, you can also check here. I think it's 16 million users. Unlikely that it's a scam when it has so much downloads. You add it to Chrome, you add extension, and then it will pop up here. It instantly starts. Now let's see if I can still do it. I haven't done it for a long time. Open the new wallet. So what we do, we need to agree to terms, and we create a new wallet here. It will tell us that we'll collect some data, and that data will be used to improve the service. You can also decline that. So now what we need to do, we need to set a wallet. Singapore, and then we have, let's see, future. So I just do one. And then I say, I want to create a new wallet. Now it tells me I have set a password and I should secure my wallet. And securing your wallet means that you secure yourself for the situation when you forget that password. Because I just typed it in now, how should I know in 10 minutes anymore? So I secure my wallet. And this, when you do this, you don't do it in a live stream, which is recorded. You do it just by yourself and no one else is watching. Because whenever something is dodgy with that wallet, you don't want to put the finger on the other person. You only want to blame yourself, but not someone that is in your close proximity, because these are most of the time the people you like, and you don't want to get like any confusion there. So this is a thing you only do when you're yourself. What you do, you reveal the recovery phrase. That looks a little bit funny now, funky, but this is actually just another password. You have 12 words. What you do now is you write them down. Some people save it to clipboards and then into a password manager. I would not recommend you that. I would just write it down on one piece of paper, and you store the piece of paper very well. Once you did this, I just copy it here to clipboard, even if I said like I don't, but I'm just too lazy now to write it down. But normally I would just write it down here, use a pen. You go to next. Yeah, there you go. So now you need to confirm what was on the what was in there to make sure that you really got it. So let's see. Good that I have it in my clipboard. So I type it in. It was project. It was wheel. Number 8. I think that should be right. All right. So what we did now, we set a password for our wallet. We secured it via a seed phrase. We wrote the seed phrase down. We secure it somewhere at home. And now this wallet is on my laptop. Now what happens if I delete this wallet, this Chrome browser extension? I need to re-download. In order to get my funds, I need to re-download the wallet and type in the seed phrase, the long phrase, the 12 words. There's no other option to get it back. What if you get locked out of the wallet? Well, then you just type in the password. What if you forget the password? Then you need to write down the seed phrase again. So you see, you always have a backup. You have the wallet on your device. You have your password. If you forget it, you take the seed phrase. If you don't have the seed phrase anymore, but you're still locked in like this, what do? You take all your funds, make a new wallet somewhere else, and transfer it into that new wallet. Because in that new wallet, you can create a new seed phrase. So it's actually pretty easy. It just needs a little bit of time, need to get a hang on it. And so this will be the last thing now. You can just have your interface here. You have your Ethereum, because it's an Ethereum wallet. It could also be a Phantom wallet, then it's on Solana, then it would be Sol here. So you have individual wallets that run on distinct blockchains. And I think there will be also wallets that allow you to access multiple chains. But this will take a time. And then you can, just go and explore what's ever around here. You can buy and sell. No clue when a new window opens. But if you agree here, then you can somewhere connect your credit card, or you can connect the wallet to a website. So think a wallet like an identity that you own. And when you go on a website, let's say Instagram, you want to log in. You don't need your Instagram handle anymore. You can just log in with your wallet, because only you possess the keys. So it's you. Or one last thing, what you can do, you can, for instance, go on a marketplace and directly buy stuff on that marketplace with your wallet when you're logged in. So when you're logged in, automatically your funds are in. It's like similar to what Google does with Google Pay. You have your Google account and they pair the credit card to it. There's just a private company. Here it's a public company. Last thing, clipboard here. This is your wallet ID. It's just a long string of letters and numbers, which represent your identity on the blockchain. Whenever you buy something, this will be associated to your Bitcoins. So let's see with that. What else do we have left? We have a write-up about password and seed phrase. So just the equivalence. You see the name here up here is like your your blockchain address. This is the string. I talked about it before. It's just an example here. You have enter your password. This looks like the password where we set as well, but we don't have a forgot password button. In Web 2, we have it with Google, but in Web 3, what we do is write down these 12 words. For other applications, it's more words, others is less, but it's quite some similarities. It's just you don't have someone that has your back. You need to have your back yourself. And all stored in this wallet in the end is a private key. And this is all that matters. When someone else has your private keys, they have access to your funds and they can do whatever they want. So keep them safe. Q&A we skip here. I'll keep that just open for the end. When you want to explore more stuff about Web3, one guy said you need roughly 100 hours. Once you invest 100 hours, there are no skepticisms anymore. They're just supporters, skeptic about when people hype it up too much. But there's no one with 100-hour research, for instance, in Bitcoin that says Bitcoin is a scam. I just don't know anyone. So if you go down that route, if you go down 100 hours, just be aware it can really change your life. It changed my life. It will change the life of many, many more people. Some directly, some indirectly. And what you have here on that page are just my absolute favorite content creators and videos on top left on YouTube. You have amazing books on the top right, great X content from Punk and Anil. I even have my stuff on their blog guide, just to do some commercial. If you're a newsletter person, bottom left, Milk Road, it's just super fun, hilarious, and very informative. And then bottom right is Anthony Lewis. He's working for Temasek, is responsible for all digital assets. He wrote some blogs 10 years ago about Bitcoin, and Michael Saylor just above. There's a really good explanation of Web3 and especially mainly Bitcoin. So all these slides, they will be shared via Future Labs. And I really thank you for supporting Web3. Think about you're not just doing it for yourself and get digital property and digital power. You also do it for your offsprings, because the value you create in your jobs, you can save it and give it to future generations. And you also do it for the people in the world that don't live in Singapore, that don't live in Malaysia, that live in really shitty places where their money is just getting worthless and worthless. So if we build infrastructure where people have power online, I think we can really do something. That's why I truly mean it. Thank you for supporting for Web3. And if I can ever do something for you guys, then reach out to me. You find me via blog guide. In the middle, you can share and support my channel. You find me there also on LinkedIn. And yeah, super happy that you took your time and be here with me tonight. Over to you, Nicole.
Thank you, Raphael. That was very, very informative. I think I can speak for most of us that as a very beginner level joining here, I've learned quite a lot, especially the fact that you made it very relatable in terms of like normal few people words. It was very nice. So yeah, I'm just gonna open the floor for everybody. If you have any questions, if you would like, you can put it in the chat box, and we'll try to answer as much as possible. If some of you might like, you can also unmute and ask a question. So yes, the floor is yours. Anybody have a question? Okay, if not, I will start. Okay, Shariza has a question.
Let me see. Let me read it out. I'm intrigued about browsing the Instagram using the wallet you mentioned just now. Can you explain again how it works? All right. So Instagram is a private company, so they will only allow you to use a wallet if they built it in their features. So as of now, they don't provide it, because mainly these companies, they profit from having everything in a silo. So they will only allow you to do that at one point when the pressure is big enough. That won't be too soon, I think. So in theory, it looks like when you use another application, let's say it's called Farcaster. Farcaster is a social media platform that is based on blockchain, where you can access with your wallet. It looks like this. In the end, it's here we have Sandy. In the end, it looks like social media. It looks like X, like Twitter. You can log in, but the difference, what you can do here, when you want to tip someone and send them money, you can do it right away. You just click in it. If you want to export all your network, let's say you follow 1,000 people, you have connections with them, and now Farcaster, the management is just shit, and you go like, oh, they just have features, I just don't like it. What you can do, someone else can build another platform, another social media app, and you can just go over there with your wallet and all your connections, because you own your connections. Meaning the barrier, like the switching cost is very low, and the barrier to leave, also the barrier is also low. Meaning the platforms, they need to provide better products and cannot just enslave you on the product. Once you're on it, then they say like, yeah, oops, too bad. We're just the biggest ones. You anyways cannot leave because all your friends are already here. So this is how it will look like, at least in the beginning.
Hey, thank you for good question, Ayn. Thank you for explanation. Oh, we got one more. What are companies looking to achieve by leveraging Web3 technologies? Wow, good question.
I already have an idea. Let me see if I can put it into context. Good. So companies, I think they do like different things. In the end, they want to be profitable and generate revenues. So you can do that by investing into innovation. So you're the first in something. So that is like Web3. But you can also do it by having operational efficiencies. So by reducing costs. So you can either increase your revenues or you reduce your cost, and so your profits will be bigger. What you can do with Web3, for instance, is you just allow people to buy and sell crypto. If there are only very few providers and lots of demand, then you can step into that space as a new fintech, and get revenues that others don't get. Because big companies, large banks, they need to go through lots of approval processes. It means certain companies can leverage their startup mode to get some revenues. And then at one point, they will just be bought by the big guys. So innovation can be one thing to increase revenues. The other thing is just reduce cost. So think of Visa, for instance. They ship money. It's a money network. They ship money all over the world. But the problem is international money payments are very slow and expensive because you have lots of intermediaries in between. And there's a lot of due diligence that needs to be done because it's digital information. You cannot trust it. So you need analog people that are around that you trust, and you need to pay them. They need to eat. However, if you have algorithms, if you have computers and cryptography that secures it, it just needs energy. They don't need to eat, meaning these companies, why would they adopt Web3? They adopt blockchain technologies for faster, let's say, international transactions. And if you go back to the slide with the use cases, you can just check what are the use cases right now, what are companies that will profit from it, and then it will be adopted. Sometimes successfully, sometimes not successfully, because we're still in experimenting phase. And in experimenting phase, it's okay to make mistakes and failures. Yeah. I'm self-learning the coding now, which I do not have any prior experience in Web 2. I wanted to make a career switch to become a Web 3 developer. Please advise if that journey is possible. Since everything starts from scratch, your input will be greatly appreciated. So people that want to do that, I know some, they did it, for instance, here in Singapore. There is a community, it's called Meta Lab. It's like a Solana community. They help you to start going with programming. They learn you how to use Rust, for instance, which was mentioned. And if you're super ambitious, then you can go through that whole journey. You just need to be aware that Web 2 programmers, I assume, they have a heads up because they also know the programming start. So if you come in as a Web 3 developer right away, you're going to have a very hard time. But hard time doesn't mean that it's not going to work. The problem is Web 3 is very cyclic. It's all 4 years. You have a huge hype with Bitcoin, with the halving, then afterwards. And then everyone invests. And then afterwards, it's not so hyped anymore. Meaning your job securities and open positions are at one point, you get hired instantly. Then you're super overwhelmed and busy. Then you get the hang of it. Then you get unemployed because they let you go because they don't have money anymore. And then you don't have jobs. So with AI, maybe you're faster in getting it started, but it's a tough thing to do. But keep me posted about the progress. In the end, you should not rely on my opinion, what will be the right thing for you, because you know yourself best. And what does it mean if I say yes, you can, or yes, you can't? In the end, of course you can. It's just a matter of how much you can invest in it. If I'm working as a MERN full stack developer full-time, how can I get a job in Web3? What stack would you suggest? So I'm trained by like a trained scientist. So I'm the wrong person to ask that. Maybe someone else in the room knows that better. But what I can tell you to find a job in Web3 is that you can do a couple of things. First thing, there are dedicated Web3 job platforms. You find it all over. You can also text me afterwards. I just searched some because I also tried to find a job in Web3. So that's the first thing. Then second thing, try to connect with the community online, for instance, on LinkedIn or on Instagram. Sorry, not Instagram, X on Twitter. And connecting with the community works best when you post what you're building. People see what you're building, they get excited, and they want to know you because they think that's a cool person. I just want to know who this is. Then you get to coffee chats, you connect with them, and then at one point, maybe someone has a job. I think these are two very powerful things that I learned, especially in Singapore. I don't know where you're based, but in Singapore as a foreigner, they just don't care if you apply. And I think even for Singaporeans, they don't really care about your CV. You need to know someone. Malaysia, KL. I don't know how it is in Malaysia for you, but you need to know the people in there. So when you give your CV, you need to know someone. And this only works not by a network. And then you just need to do it 100 times. 99 people say, oh yeah, of course, I'm going to help you. And then the moment they turn around, they ghost you. You're never going to hear back from them again. So whenever you promise someone something, just hold it or don't promise it. Or better, don't cross my way again, because I've met so many people that promised it proactively. So don't be discouraged. Networking is really about opportunities. You always need to find a match. Don't just try to profit from someone. It's not going to be a valuable network. Give something. That's why post, and then receive something in return. Yo.
Naman, just to add on, alternatively, you can join as a mentee for this program. So for everybody here, just to give you a quick update or information. So as for this Web3 Career Mentorship Program, not only do you have a chance to have one-on-one mentorships with a mentor, you also have the chance to chat with each other. Mentee can chat with mentee. So for example, let's say Leo, if you're in the program and you want to chat with Naman just to get to know each other or see, their journey and stuff like that, you have the option to chat with each other as well. So think of it as like a community Facebook group, but it's with FutureLab. So it's an alternative platform should you want to start exploring a local community. That is something for you to notice. But yes, thank you for all your questions, and thank you for the very detailed answers as well, Raphael. That was very, very helpful. I actually had a lot of questions as I go along, but you answered most of them. You were very, very detailed and very well like really round thought of. So thank you for that. Without further ado, everybody please stay on for just 2 minutes. I'm just gonna share a little, just like a little wrap ending, and then we can all go. Don't worry, I won't hold you guys too long. Okay. Just to share my screen for a little bit. Okay. Yes, and yes, Naman, you can, as long as Raphael is okay with it, you can connect with him on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, of course, even the better. Just connect with all the Web3 people. Please like and follow Block Guide, because often I just comment on stuff or like it myself, and then you just see some things. So yeah, if you want to support and show some love, really appreciate it.
Will do. He posts really good stuff too, very informative stuff as well. Not one of those spammy stuff you see sometimes. Okay, so thank you for Raphael. So after the Q&A, we have a little post feedback form. If you can all take just 2 minutes of your time to scan the QR, fill out the feedback form for Raphael and for FutureLab, we will greatly appreciate it for our future sessions, as we do want to make sure our sessions moving forward is as suitable and as positive an experience for everybody. And of course, here's a little glimpse of our next session. So for our next session, if you're curious about how to apply Web3 in a business, in the business world, we have our next guest speaker, Prakash, who is a digital transformation expert himself. He would share about how to apply Web3 applications in businesses. So he is a leader with over 27 years of experience driving digital innovation and business growth across the APAC region, successfully led digital transformation and technology adoption in a lot of major companies such as Nokia, Deloitte, Asiata, and stuff like that. So if you are interested, we already have set the date for July 24. We haven't rolled out the registration form yet, but if you sign up over this QR code, you get the latest update as soon as possible when the registration is ready. And of course, without further ado, we have a whole lineup for all of you if you are really, really keen and interested to really explore this Web3 industry further. We have Raphael, who was this month's speaker, and next month will be Prakash on digital transformation and Web3 application in businesses. In August, we have Brianna, who would be talking a lot about decentralized AI. So if you have, if any of you out there who would like to learn a little bit more about AI, feel free to join in for August. And for some of you like Leo or yourself, who would like to know what to do or what kind of skills and experience to have if you would like to transition into an AI role in the future, Omesh here, who is a legal counsel and HR at Etherscan, would be coming in September to share a little bit about how to start a career or get into a career within the Web3 industry, and a little bit of blockchain as well. So he himself has similar background like some of you guys who have never touched Web3 before and then ends up working in Web3 company. So he will come in and share a little bit about what kind of steps and preparation as someone who aspires to explore Web3 should do, and this might be a good webinar to stay tuned. Okay. And if you like to, connect and learn more in general, we do have, some community circles that the community, myself and Amira is planning for the program community in this Web3 career mentorship program. And also, if you like to just chat with each other, start a small little community, feel free to join our program as well. And thank you so much for everybody's time for today.